How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. This podcast is hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the sport of bowling. You will get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this generation, who just happens to be the son of a living legend. So, without further ado, let's introduce you to the host of the show, Rad Rob, Rob Francois, Dr. Ocho, and the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome to the debut edition of Straight Up 5. I am your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois, along with my co-host, the best masked doctor and bowler in the entire universe, at least in his point of view. It is Dr. Ocho. Dude, we're doing a bowling show, man. What's up?
I don't know how. I don't know what. But poor Jimmy, and maybe whatever. Maybe he died and went to hell because I'm in hell right now doing another show with you.
Yeah, that's two shows that's two shows you didn't want to do. So.
And it's about bowling. Now that part I don't mind, but I never talk bowling. Well, I don't mind because there's a surprise.
You don't talk bowling, but yet we've talked bowling the last 2 weeks on
unintentional.
our other
only because
show.
I've set records. You know, I got the house record here, the house record there. Everywhere, you know, and it's fine. I'm no longer just a buffalo wing eater house record. Now I'm getting bowling records. It's not my fault, but I don't know how I got rooked into this. This is a debacle. But I think this is going to be good.
Alrighty then.
Only because.
God, and of course, just like the other show, you're already interrupting me.
Only because of what you're fixing to say next.
Well, if you let me, I will.
Maybe you should do your job.
Joining us is our third member. Actually, he's really the star of the show. He is the most handsome man in the entire world. He is the son of one of the greatest bowlers of all time and a fantastic bowler in his own right. He is he's not Greek, but I'd call him a Greek god. I mean, he's an Adonis. What else can I say about how great he looks?
You're drooling on the microphone right now. I can see it.
Sorry.
I can see it. And I'm wearing his hood, and I can still see it.
Yeah. It is the one and only Mr. Johnny Petraglia Jr. What's going on, JP?
Doing well, Rob. Yourself?
Hopefully I'm doing good, man. Thanks for being here. I know we've been kind of planning this, little project for quite a while, but it's good to have you here, man.
It's an absolute pleasure being here. Definitely looking forward to talking some bowling with you and the greatest bowler of all time, the Ocho.
Wow, that's high praise. High praise. Factual, but high praise.
Much you trained everybody, right? You trained his dad. You trained everybody. So.
I only one way though. What'd you say the name is? Straight Up 5? Is that what you called this title?
That's the name of the show.
Explain that. Explain that to the bowling folk who may or maybe to the wrestling folk who just jumped on because it's on your feed.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate. So Straight Up 5 is all right. So you take a bowling lane. There's individual boards on a bowling lane, and the fifth board in would be the 5 board or the first arrow. There's arrows marked on the lanes. That's
the one next to the gutter. You're saying the way out furthest, huh?
Either on the left or the right. It's 5 boards in from the gutter, and that's usually what we hit when we when we line up our shot when we bowl. So, I know you do because you're always walled up with the house shot anyway. So. We just came up with the name Straight Up 5. So for those of you that may not understand that, go look at a bowling lane, count 5 boards in. That's your first arrow, and that's
and you'll probably bowl a 280 because it's the easiest way to bowl on planet Earth. So that's the other reason why we always take the easy routes. It's like being the shortest way to 2 points to straight line. This is as close as you can get to that.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, I don't know if you knew this, Oach, but old JP Jr. here shot 300 about, 3-4 weeks ago, Johnny?
Yeah, it's about how long ago it was.
What is that number? 800?
800,000 probably.
So this is league sanctioned, I assume, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many is that?
If I had to take a legitimate guess, I'd say somewhere around 150.
Oh, that's it. No, see, that's low. I thought it was at least 300. So
I don't bowl as many 300s as these other guys. Considering the lack of games that I bowl in a year, I do bowl a bunch.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So it's almost like, Aaron Judge hitting a home run every 4 at bats, basically. You only get 400 at bats, you go yard 100 times. That's what JP is doing. Throwing a 300, sure, the stats are there where there's a lot more thrown, but man, you still got it. There's always that ringing 7 for the lefty, the ringing 10, which Ocho seems to do every time he's got the front 10 or 11.
Or the ringing 7-10 sometimes in your case.
Or the pocket 7-10, sure, it happens. It happens when you throw the ball like a marshmallow like I do. Sometimes I'm cramped up because I had a crazy workout. I'm hanging out with ladies. I'm in the gym. I mean, what can I do? You have lactic acid buildup. But there's still as much of course, you got to be skillful to hit the pocket. Just this is a weird geometrical game where the best shot may not go. And that's impressive that I have almost as many 300s as you do, JP. I'm 150 behind-ish.
I thought for sure you were close to me.
I got a couple 299s. That's about it.
Yeah, I had 278 or 279 was my highest sanctioned game. But let me ask you, Johnny, since we're on the subject of that, and you said there are quite a lot of 300s thrown lately. Is it the equipment or the shot or a combination of both? What is it now about the lanes compared to what it used to be?
I think that the modern oil of today's game and the amount that's on the lanes due to the power of the bowling balls, it's taken away the angularity and I guess the steep entry angles into the pocket these days. So the thing that makes a ball strike and strike continuously is how long the flat spot is on the lane. In other words, how long is the bowling ball looking at the pins within, like in a right-hander's case, how long is the ball going left?
I'm already lost, by the way, but I'm going to follow this. I'm going to do my best.
Break it down for the simple man here, Ocho.
I feel like what he's saying is, the ball facing the pocket. Used to be you throw it right at it.
Nowadays, the ball arcs a lot more than a skid snap. So the change of direction looks more like a McDonald's arch than
rather than a little C. You're saying maybe, right?
Correct. It's slurvier rather than snappier. So it's not as sharp. So when bowling balls are not as sharp or angular or hockey stickish off the break point, they're going more downhill into the pins. So if the ball treads earlier to you and creates more of a slurve, the ball is now going downhill when it enters the pin.
So that's a good thing, then you're saying, right? So now it's faced up and it's rolling. But people think speed is what has to knock pins down when it's revolutions and power. I mean, the weight is what it is.
Most of the guys that have figured out a way to mesh the speed and the revolutions that they have together. So, for instance, Anthony Simonson's rev rate is 500 to 520, but his ball speed is also 20 miles an hour. Whereas somebody like Bill O'Neill has a rev rate of, say, 380 to 400, but his average ball speed is 17.5 to 18 miles an hour. So putting those two elements together ideally is what makes a ball strike. And you could do it you could do it like Francois Lavoie and Norm Duke, or you can do it like Jason Belmonte and Jesper Svensson. So, but they all do the same thing. Like the best bowlers in the world right now, when you watch them, Kyle Troop, Chris Prather, Bill O'Neill, Chris Vi, they all have moderate speed. They're playing more of the hold or the push in the middle of the lane. They're not trying to get the ball to the dry.
So they're using the oil is what you're saying, and it's kind of storing its energy, basically, and then it faces at the end without that snap. I think I'm putting that together, right?
So in turn, the ball is even higher flush in the pocket. So all those ringing 10s, those blower 7 pins, all those breaks seem to kind of go away, which is why the guys can average so much higher.
Is that what they say by the hold spot then? I hear it on the television. That's the hold spot where they get through the heads and then now they hit their spot where the ball is still not rolling towards the pocket, but storing it, hitting the oil and gaining the energy to then face the pocket and roll forward rather than sideways. And so you don't, right. Okay. I can't believe I followed that. No one else is going to follow, but hey, I want one down, one to go.
And on the flip side of the coin, it's happening even more so these days. look at the guys who like to throw the ball harder and are not having as much success on both sides of the lane. Like recently, just to use him because he's a good buddy, is Simonson. He's had a rough go the last few events. He throws it harder than the guys I just mentioned. On the left side of the lane, you don't see Ryan Simonelli and Parker Bone leading tournaments anymore. You see Jacob Buttriff and Jesper Svensson leading tournaments. And they're doing it with balls, urethane especially, that make the motion closer to them. So they can overpower the lane more with their rotation and their medium speed.
And
Really?
the urethane balls don't react the way, like
Right.
you're saying. They won't snap no matter how much they can try and hand it or something. Or
I didn't know they were still using urethane balls, Johnny.
Oh, well, urethane is the new
big comeback
resin.
now, right?
Yeah, there's a big people that hate urethane will always hate urethane, but there's no doubt that if you want to be successful anywhere with the elite, you must have a urethane ball. You can't compete without one.
But these are the guys that are still revving the shit out of it, though, rather than a guy throwing it straight. Not that a straight guy's going to throw urethane. He needs all the hook he can get, I would think.
What urethane does in today's modern game, because they put such an emphasis on all the different oil patterns, they use all these difficult tournament shots. What urethane does is it basically eliminates the oil pattern altogether, because that motion I was talking about earlier, it produces from the moment it touches the lane. Upper stock doesn't have any additional resin in it to make it skid through the fronts and store energy. It's built to hit the lane hook and stop hooking. So that elongated, flat, slurvy spot is made possible for anybody, whether it's a no-thumber, a guy that throws it straight up 5, a guy that's a tweener, a cranker, whatever they are. Urethane works because it eliminates one of the elements, which is the oil pattern.
The last urethane ball I had was a Black Hammer, probably around 1985, 86-ish. Because once resin came out, I mean, that's what everybody got,
All that's taking over the world of bowling is the purple hammer.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I call it. Ocho took over the world with his purple hammer about 10 years ago, buddy. Don't you worry about that. So take us then to the house shot oil pattern then. People would need to use urethane or no? Because these guys are just a bunch of yahoos that the ball should do all the work for us clowns on a 3-game league each week, right?
Yeah, there really is no reason to throw urethane on a house shot unless you got a no-thumber or a two-hander who has an insanely high rev rate and doesn't want to start playing way
gutter to gutter or something. Or
another one would be, I would say, maybe a senior player that's got a lack of ball speed, and it's easier to control the reaction of. But for any mainstream bowler, and I'm talking about the guys that average from 160 to 230, there really is no rhyme or reason to throw urethane on any house shot, other than those reasons.
So what has this done? What has this done for your game, Johnny? How have you had to adapt?
I've always, and you could ask anybody that knows me, I've always kind of been ahead of the norm in this sport.
Ask me, Rob.
When I was younger, Rob, I decided one day I wanted to take my thumb out of the ball. It's when I was playing baseball. I was probably 15. And my dad says, man, your arm swing is straight as an arrow. Is that comfortable? You should try doing that. So I started going to junior bowling tournaments, and I won 7 tournaments that season. And for the last half of the season, I won 4 of the last 6 events, and I only walked into the bowling alley with a rubber LT48 and my shoes. That was the only ball that I threw with no thumb.
This is like mid-90s-ish or something, or late 90s? Where are you at in your...
This is like, we'll say 1999, 2000. So 15, 16 years old. No, 14. No, 1998, 1999.
No, so it's still 21 years ago now, 22 years ago now. And my point is, now we see the no-thumb guys. A guy, I don't know his name, but he was just on the other day. I don't know anybody's name. No thumb, and they rev the shit out of the ball, and yet and they're in play too. It doesn't overreact. It doesn't seem. It's a way to keep up with the two-hander guys rev wise, but keep your accuracy maybe. I don't know. But here you are, 22 years ago doing it now, and the last 5 years now the thumb is halfway in, halfway out now, I guess.
Well, oddly enough, what I was going to was now I'm 36, And I'm like, wow, all the guys on tour that are destroying them are all doing what I've loved to do my whole life. Throw it medium speed, hammer the crap out of it with a bowling ball that hooks in my toe. And I'm like, crap, maybe I should be out there.
Go out there, dude. Uh-oh.
What my mentality is at this point, watching them bowl. But, so I've always liked the motion that's needed out on tour right now. I've always liked knowing at 25 feet where my ball is going to be at 60 feet. I've never relied on down lane motion. I've never cared for it.
So with the knowledge that you have, Johnny, and the fact that, you're in fantastic shape now compared to days of old, with all the knowledge, the shape you're in, the current state of bowling, have you thought about going back out there and maybe doing some regionals at least?
No, and yes and no. I'm happy with what I'm doing out here. And honestly, I've been into nutrition for a little over 3 years now. And the lifestyle that I've built, I'm not ready to break away from it yet. And the lifestyle that's required on the PBA Tour doesn't allow for the lifestyle it takes to maintain.
You couldn't carry both, basically, in motels or hotels and fast food. I got you.
Exactly. I have to pick which hotel, like a microtel or something that I knew had a stove, and then go do meal prep for a week. And then
right. Tupperware's floating everywhere, and
buying day passes for which gyms it's honestly too big of a hassle, and I'm not committed enough to beat those guys. Those guys are so good, and it's easy for anybody to sit back and say, well, shit, I can do a Jacob Buttriff does. No, I can't. Like, nobody can.
Over 5 or 8 games maybe, but over 40 games probably, we got to see.
80, yeah.
Let me ask you this, though. How the training I got to figure would be different also, because you're training symmetrically. You're training for anatomical position, posture, health, core strength, whereas bowling is exactly opposite of that. You're holding one object in your, I tell people if bowling would be better on the body if you held 2 bowling balls in your arm, because you're symmetrical at least. So it's a lot of more leg work, core strength, asymmetry, balancing, that kind of stuff. So I got to figure your training would have to be altered a little bit, finding a gym, doing your lunges or whatever instead of the cool stuff you do now.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with that one, Ocho.
What would be a difference then?
If I were on tour full time, I've trained the same way for 2 years. I do high intensity, high volume bodybuilder training. I admire Jay Cutler. He lives in Vegas.
Bro splits is what we call them. That's the old fashioned way. Bro splits, where we target a body part.
Yes.
And tax that, get the blood flow there, then heal up, then target the next one the next day. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I'm pleased, by all means. So that kind of training, by the time those workouts are over, the only thing I want to do is eat and sleep. And to do that on tour, I would have to develop a much bigger cardio routine to do it on tour. I'd have to lose a little bit of mass. I would have to basically re-sculpt what I've done to this point. So that alone then intertwine with trying to make enough money or make enough good shots to be the best bowlers in the world. Yeah, the two don't mesh.
I feel like I'm thinking as far as symmetry goes, but like you're saying, bro splits, bodybuilding type, the same stuff Ocho does, because a lot of people want to be like Ocho. Oh. And bowling,
my inspiration.
Hey, I've always appreciated, man. Bowling is the one thing where if you got lats, you're in trouble probably, because if you don't open up, especially you staying in the slot with the thumb or without the thumb, a latissimus dorsi is literally going to get in the way and shut your backswing down without you opening up and then losing your angle almost. So relearning a throw almost, it sounds like.
Relearning, re-feeling. Like I look at myself in videos that people take and I go, I cannot believe my backswing is that high without my thumb in the ball. And I feel like the ball is just barely passing my hip. Like I can't shorten it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the video, and then that's the toughest part is I almost have to feel like my backswing never gets past my chest.
Your ankle or something like that, and then you're just to keep it in normal realm. Right. But on the house shot, I'm not knocking the house shot, but I am going to knock the house shot. On the house shot, you'll still blast the pocket because you'll keep it within a 4-board area. So,
well, I'll tell you this. So I use plastic religiously when I bowl on a house shot.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that's all I use. It's the only thing I use. I use a T-zone. I walk into bowling with a T-zone. And when I tell you that you can use anything on a house shot, I mean,
what about a skee ball? I can use a skee ball on a house shot. You
not.
could, but
it's 240 with a T-zone this year in 2 leagues. One of them was 4 games.
Okay, for those people that may not understand,
take it away, Rob, about plastic balls and whatnot.
Well, I mean, plastic ball, obviously, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, isn't going to do anything. I mean, it's going to bounce off. It's going to deflect off the pins because they were throwing it straight down the lane with no hook, right at the head pin. It's usually used for, let's just say, casual bowlers, families, kids. It's you pick a ball off the rack and you throw it. Now, with the revolution rate, that's how Johnny is able to score so high with a plastic stock ball like that, because the ball is just driving through the pins because he has such a high revolution rate. Is that accurate, Johnny?
Oh yeah. You want to know what part of the lane I play?
Straight up 5.
Got it.
Yes. I taught him well years ago. Before I told him to leave his thumb in because Ocho's motto is, look, you got to leave your fingers in something and your thumb in something. And, take it any way you want, bowling balls, life. That's how I live my life.
I can't think of a better way to end this segment. Leave it to Ocho to,
That's the exclamation point. That's all you need.
Absolutely. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to get into the main topic of the show, which is the life and career, like I say that like he's dead. The career of the one and only PDW, Pete Weber. We'll be right back right after this.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Welcome back to Straight Up 5.
Welcome back to the second segment of this debut edition of Straight Up 5. We're going to get into the career of one of the greatest bowlers of all time, PDW.
Oh, I thought we were doing my career. Shit, I was like, I'm not prepared for this. I mean, damn.
No, I mean, I need months and months to do my homework. And
8 months minimum, dude.
Yes, well, 6 to 8. We're here to talk about Pete Weber, one of Johnny's good friends. Pete's had an amazing career, was around for a long time. Recently left the PBA Tour. He'll be going on the senior tour, I believe. This summer, this fall? When does that start, Johnny?
For the senior tour?
Yes.
The senior tour started approximately 3 weeks ago.
Oh, see, well, there you go.
And he's bowled on it before. He's bowled 3 years on it already, I think, right?
I'd actually have to research his age real quick. But, yeah, Pete's definitely been out there for a few years. Let's see. He's 58 now. He's actually been out on the senior tour for 8 years.
Jesus, my God. And still bowling on the regular tour. That's what's impressive, man. And still cashing checks after time.
Yeah, he just recently decided to hang it up on the young guys tour, which, you know what, kudos to him. He Pete is ready to enjoy life. He's been ready to enjoy life, and he really enjoys himself out on the senior tour.
Pete enjoyed life for a long time, too. Let's not forget that. But he was still having to make money while doing it. But yeah, he had mentioned, he said, like, I can't rev the ball like these guys do. The young, like we were talking about earlier, you got these guys with such high rev rates now, and the pins feel revolutions. And a guy throwing, what would Pete throw? 400? He wasn't a low rev guy, but
Pete was a super high rev guy for most of his career. It gets mistaken because his hand is so relaxed and open when he gets through.
So what would he throw? About 400-ish?
Yeah, I mean Pete's one of those guys that's manipulated his speed, his ball roll, everything for his entire career.
Which was how you had to do it back in the day too. That's what I always liked about it.
I would put him somewhere in the low 400s to mid 400s.
So there's only five. That's it. That little bit of between that and 500. It seems like the guys that are at 500 just get the pin carry a little better. That's a difference between a 256 to the 238. Both great scores, but I think that's kind of the gist of what he was saying, where he's going to go hang out with guys his own style now.
Yeah, and truth be told, he's still better than everybody else.
Oh, for sure. Ain't that the thing?
Or where he feels. I mean, that. Truth be told, the senior tour is a monster right now. I mean, there's names out there that I think people forget are seniors now. Just Chris Barnes, just to name one, and Mika, for just to name a couple off the top of my head that are newbies, I guess, to the senior tour. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, but
you still got Parker, you still got Walter Ray, you still got, what I mean? Like
Monticelli, Bob Learn, you have Michael Haugen, they're all out there. Lenny Borish. For Christmas, and
these are big time winners on the Hall of Famers is what they are.
The tour that I grew up watching, so like I look forward to senior events because it's all the guys I idolized as a kid.
Yeah, same here.
They need a TV contract, man. I know there's not going to be one thrown around. I think Fox is doing a good job with the PBA tour, but I mean, remember ESPN used to have the seniors on. Like, man, they don't need much. Just. Man, get a contract.
Yeah, got that right.
I mean,
sorry, I got sidetracked again. It's me.
I'm used to it. Pete was a chip off the old block. I mean, his dad himself was, Dick Weber's one of the greatest bowlers of all time. I mean, Pete just had it in his blood from an early age. I mean, he was, he's killing people in junior leagues, I'm sure. He was, beating adults, at 15, 16 years old. He joined the PBA tour when he was 17. So, I mean, that just shows you how talented Pete Weber was at such an early age.
Pete was always the guy that I'm a history buff. So when I look at history and people always ask me who's the greatest of all time, a lot of people are confused when I say Pete Weber because everybody automatically says, why not Earl Anthony? Why not Walter Ray? And nothing against those guys. But to me, what I look at is what they've done throughout their entire career. So Pete Weber has won 35, 36 titles, however many titles he's won. He's got a dozen with plastic. He's got a dozen with urethane. He's got a dozen with resin. To me, not only does that stand the test of time, but it also stands the test of different lane surfaces, different lane oils, different application of the oils, learning new equipment, modernizing your entire game to match the different conditions that are out you on a continual basis while still kicking the living crap out of everybody. So that's always been what separates Pete, for me, from everybody else on tour.
No, I agree with that 100%. I mean, you can't deny the success that he had in the mid to late 80s. I think 87 may have been his most profitable year at that time. I think he won something like 10 titles that year. I mean, it was ridiculous. Like, I mean, every time you saw him on ABC, he's killing it.
Continue. So you were saying you always thought you were ahead of the game, which again, talking about, the no thumb and everything. I kind of think like Pete was probably that guy also. You didn't see the high backswing. You didn't see the coming around the ball back then. At least I don't think, because I'm only a highlight reel kind of guy. But I mean, wasn't he one of the first to really like get around up, not crank it like Mark Roth, but he was the slow, deliberate high backswing, come around from way in the inside of the ball and let the ball kind of do the work.
Yeah. 90 degrees off that hand without any over rotation of the elbow. So
which is hard to do.
Near impossible. I mean, there's a lot of guys on tour that can get their hands close, but you're exactly right. He did have the high, powerful backswing, but he incorporated smooth, controlled movement throughout.
He was finesse with power, like where you saw power met with power, like Roth cranking it or whatnot. But yeah, like he was one of the guys that do that.
Yeah, I would say like a Parker Bone is more of a power tweener, and I would say that like Pete's more of a smooth operating cranker because he's not a tweener like Parker is.
Right. Pete's his own thing almost. Like he's not a stroker, he's not a cranker. He's like Pete.
He's exactly right. He's Pete, and just nobody else can do what Pete does.
We should market that. We should patent that or something like that.
Same way nobody can play outside 5 like Walter Ray or Norm Duke. The same way nobody can play inside the 6th arrow like Jason Belmonte. Pete is the guy that just always figured out a way to get it done against everybody at any time, at any age, with whatever personal adversity he had to deal with. It didn't matter. He always figured out a way.
How successful, Johnny, do you think he would have been if he wasn't spending $150,000 on strippers and coke and drinking? I mean, he said he went through a 4-week stretch at some point, somewhere around 84, 85, where he was just in a blackout mode. I mean, how successful would he have been if he didn't have a drinking problem?
Being where I am in my life, my answer to that question is, what would he have done if he didn't? I don't know, because I don't know what sparks Pete. All I know is that when he's on the lanes, whatever fuel he has inside of him, he gets the job done.
Yeah, maybe that was his edge. I mean, just to not intentionally, but like, chip on his shoulder, always, getting out of dad's shadow, that kind of thing. So
that's a lot of pressure.
Maybe that was his fuel.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a lot of pressure growing up the son of Dick Weber. I mean,
it prefaced that too, Rob, with Dick Weber being the most gentlemanly guy. Developed the PBA, I think. Is that he was part of it or something? Did he originated the? How did that work? Do either of you guys know?
Yes, Dick was one of the original charter members of the PBA.
So they made this league that is now now I think they're making a comeback. But look, through the 70s and 80s, man, these guys are rock stars. And, Pete got in at that time and breaking the shadow of the gentlemanly, which it was always known as, much like golf, very gentlemanly. And Pete always still shook everyone's hand at the end. He may talk some shit during, but at the very end, he'd always shake hands, much like any contest, athletic contest should end. But talk about breaking out of his dad's shadow. Maybe that was his fuel. I mean, we'll have to ask him one day, one of these years.
Yeah. I mean, well, to this day, and, Pete wouldn't get angry at me for saying this on here. The first thing that Pete always used to do when he was done bowling a tournament would be to call his dad. And when Dick passed, the first thing that Pete started doing was he would call his mom. Like Pete, like you just said, Pete's intensity stopped when he left the lanes. Like I try and hear people say that he's an asshole to the fans and shit. I'm like, Pete's a gentleman to the fans. Pete loves kids. He loves the youth of the sport. He's very friendly to everybody. He's really one of the good guys out there, and it's mistaken because of his raw intensity when he's on the lanes.
He flips it on, much like your character would be, when you got to turn it up, when you want to dial it up, which makes perfect sense, especially when these guys, there's always something. These guys are winners, man. Like, regardless of what it is, they're still freaking winners. The cream always rises to the top. So there's something that you got to do to get yourself in that moment. And if that's him, and that's what I was saying, he shakes the guy's hand every time afterwards. Just something I noticed. I don't know the guy, but I'm glad you pointed that out too, just to, see who the real guy is.
I mean, to correlate it to wrestlers, you look at Goldberg, Ocho, which, he'll ram his head against a door or a lock or something like that to get himself in that zone, to get himself in that character, because he has such a high level of intensity. So there is a correlation between that. And you're right. Like, I'm sure Michael Jordan had his own, stuff that he did to get himself, prepped and ready. And I'm sure they have routines. Guys that are that great have a different intensity, a different mindset, a different work ethic than most of your other athletes, or actors or whatever it may be. The best are the best for a reason, because they're wired differently than anybody else.
It's 100% true. Going with that, my dad told me a story. The old format of a PBA tournament was you'd bowl 3 6-game blocks for a total of 18 games of qualifying, and then they'd cut to the top 24 for 3 8-game blocks, totaling another 24 games of match play.
How many guys would enter the tournament to start off with? Was it just 100? Was it they capped it or something?
The fields were capped depending on the size of the center and the event that it was, but typically anywhere from 160 to 225 entries.
So you could have that many, and then after 18 games, they cut it to 25, you said?
24, and the top 52 guys get a check. So 25 through 52 got a check. 1 through 24 would continue to bowl 3 games or 3 blocks of match play, like head-to-head match play with bonus pins. So,
and then they do the step ladders so that goes for a day, basically, or how?
One evening block, and then the next day is a morning and an evening. So typically the bowling tournament would span 4 days, and then the TV show would be on the 5th day.
And they bowl 30-something games. How many? 18 to start, and then
42 games total.
42 games. Because I feel like almost, and then the stepladder finals, I gotta figure they did for television, because I feel like when you understand how they score bowling, it's very relative to golf, and you'd think they would just run the same things, but I don't know if that's a bowling alley thing, an oil thing, not having the bowling alley at your disposal for all 4 days where you only need a couple lanes. Do you know anything about why they go to step ladders?
I think I don't know the absolute answer to that, but I definitely know that it had something to do with television appeal.
Yeah.
It's for the amount of allotted airtime that they had, unfortunately, compared to golf, where you
don't have 6 hours and whatnot, and every shot. Yeah.
Like that was always a big thing. Like, could you imagine watching Jason Belmonte bowl for 6 hours 3 times a week?
And he's up 400 pins on the next guy, so he already wins the tournament, kind of thing like that. So there's no, I guess for drama purposes too, watching head to head. Just I feel like it's almost a shame that all that bowling, 42 games, you're up 300 pins on the next guy, and yet you could lose.
Right. Exactly. But the point of the story was, in the 42 games, my dad, they used to use caddies. Kids would walk the pros bowling balls to the next lane and all that stuff.
Oh shit, much like golf. Here you go.
And there would also be scorekeepers on each lane for the big boards that everybody would see the scores on. Well, that particular week, the only left-hander that got a check in the entire tournament was Earl Anthony. And he made the top 24. He qualified 24th. And after match play, he made it to the show, and he loses the second match on the show, and he finishes 4th. So my dad was keeping score that week, and he goes into the locker room, and he says, Earl, I just want to tell you, what you did this week is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen anybody do. It's absolutely unbelievable that not only did you make match play, but you made the television show this week. Complimenting him, giving him high praise. Earl Anthony's response to that was, John, with all due respect, get the fuck away from me. Because 3 guys in this building are getting more money than me this week. Get the fuck away from me. That was his response.
Meanwhile, your dad was a star at that point too, and a colleague.
Earl's one of the nicest guys in the world. But that's going back to what Rob said about there are certain people that are wired certain ways. Like, I would never say that. I'm not wired that way. Is
that your downfall, do you think, when we talk about you going back out on tour or something like that?
Yes.
Oh, admittedly, yes, just like that. Because I got a funny story. Like, I just remember, Ocho taught your dad, taught you, taught Pete, taught everybody. It's all right. Now it's out there. Bowling with your dad, giving him instructions one year on league. We were just bowling. He had a great night. He just got wrapped a lot. And he decided he was never bowling on lane 24 ever again. And I'm like, JP, man, it was just one of them nights, the oil. And he's like, I'm never, ever setting foot on this lane ever again and he's kicking his bowling bag. And I'm going, wow, that's intensity. I wasn't offended. I was like, wow, that's such passion right there to want to do great every throw. Something I know I don't have, only because I'm just great at so many other things. I can't apply it all.
But that's why he had so much success, Ocho.
But that's exactly. So honestly, I remembered that story, and that's why I wanted to bring up how they are wired a little different, how the cream does rise to the top. I'm so freaking glad you mentioned that. Like you said, Earl Anthony was known, again, much like Dick Weber, the gentleman of bowling, and a great commentator too, always humble. And that's wild. Was there ever an aftermath? Like he said, hey, sorry, I did that to you yesterday or something, or just your dad knew, like, hey, I feel the same way if I would have bowled that way.
Resolved minutes later if there was anything to resolve. I think it was just known what was up.
He understood because he's been in that position too. That's the thing where.
Absolutely.
Wow. Holy shit. The stuff you're getting on Straight Up 5. Holy shit.
I mean, this is the stuff that I wanted to get into. The stuff that you don't normally hear on your more, professional, polished network shows and stuff like that. Like, this is real talk. I mean, this is stories that people might not have heard before. And regarding Earl Anthony, Johnny, as a lefty, I idolized him as a kid. He was one of my favorite bowlers of all time. I used to love watching him on ABC. I never met him, but that story, I never would have thought he would have done that. But given the conversation we're having now about, the elite, in their field, that absolutely makes perfect sense of why he would have said that.
Yeah, it's how you win 41 times in 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unheard of what that man did.
JP, you're an athlete a long time. You played baseball, you play golf. I mean, recreationally, I know you play golf. I'm sure I've seen your swing. I know you're 4 or 5 at this point. Your handicap.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
10? Can you give me 10? Give me an 8.
I'm better. Okay, I'll give you 8.
All right, good. Well, good. It means I'm getting a lot of strokes when we play. But do you think had you just went straight to bowling, because you were well-rounded, you were very good at baseball, you're very good at golf. Do you think if you hunkered down, or is there just I don't want to say a fire. Everyone's got a fire to succeed. You're doing it now in your nutrition, so that's not a hindrance on you. But had you just targeted bowling, or could you not focus strictly eat, sleep, breathe, do everything that it took to be out there? Because you probably could athletically. That's what I'm saying.
All right, real talk, Straight Up 5.
Go ahead, Straight Up 5.
Time in my life that I would have wanted to pursue it, I couldn't because I was too young and I was too into other things.
Exactly what I was going at.
I loved to get drunk and sing karaoke at midnight. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't care that I had to bowl a squad at 7 a.m. the next day. If there was something fun to go do, I was in a city with my bowling family and friends, and I was comfortable. I was going to go do something.
You basically lived. That's all. You didn't do anything bad. You just lived. And you still probably bowled well at A squad at 7 a.m. You just, all right.
Yes. And now what's changed is, I don't know. Now I'm just ready for life. I like stability at home. I don't look forward to the bar scene as much as I used to. I look forward to the stability of home and the structure of home now. And I'm just happy. Like I'm kind of rebuilding myself through a time that I made a lot of poor decisions, I guess is the best way to go about it.
Well, that's living too. Again, man, that's because if you don't learn from them, you're going to repeat them. So bowling is still as important, obviously. Yeah.
I bowl league twice a week, and every single time my feet hit the approach, I get that intensity. I mean, that's what makes that. I may be fluid and all that other crap, but what makes me a good bowler is my intensity. It doesn't matter if I'm bowling 160 or 260. If I need a hit in the 10th, I'm going to throw it. And I know it before I step on the approach. So that feeling doesn't exist in a lot of places in my life. It does on the bowling greens.
And hitting it is the drive. That's the even for that quick rush, even for that 3-second rush, because then now the next two are easy because you only had to hit the first, but you're going to clear up the next two. but it's that little rush, and then you got to turn it off, go back to square one, you start the next game. I get it. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I kind of get that part too, and that's nothing much of my life.
Yeah.
But some people wouldn't care. They're like, it's just a bowling game. What's the big deal? We lose. We're here having fun, but still, you're called to the carpet, and it's like, all right, I'm going to show you. I still got it. Which you're saying you average 240. I'll let you go, Rob, I promise. But, clearly you're not missing the pocket too much either if you're averaging 240.
No, I definitely am on an ideal lane condition with the proper ball. And when I'm in a groove, I don't lose that groove.
You match up well. Good. Because, we've talked before about the house shot and how, a 200 bowler is probably not so much a 200 bowler, but a 240 bowler is clearly knowing what they're doing.
Definitely.
Go ahead, Rob. Take it away, buddy.
Well, Ocho, you mentioned, being competitive and all that and having that edge when you're on the lanes. That's the way I was as a kid too. And even now to this day, I'm an ultra competitive person. I hate to lose. I don't care what it is. I played pool with my buddy, back in the day, and he'd beat me. I wouldn't talk to him the whole way home. I wouldn't even say goodbye to him. He'd drop me off my house, and I go inside. I hate losing. I don't care what it is. And that transferred to bowling. I cannot, even to this day, which I haven't bowled league in 5 or 6 years, but, I couldn't go out with my daughter and my wife and bowl without wanting to kick their ass.
Even if you win like 123 to 121, you still get the W.
Matter.
That's what's great.
A win's a win.
W is a W.
Yeah, and if I lose, I'm pissed. I don't care if my daughter's throwing the ball off a the little ramp thing they got with the bumpers and shit. No, I'm gonna school her. That's the way I'm gonna raise her too. Whatever you do it to the best of your ability, and if you lose, get better at it.
Damn straight.
Just don't punish them if they lose, Rob. That's all. Because I feel like CPS is going to be getting called one of these days.
She might not get ice cream if she doesn't win in junior leagues, but we'll see.
Tell her you're going to eat her ice cream in front of her if she loses, even if she misses it. Is she a lefty or a righty, Rob?
I don't know yet. And this is the truth.
Maybe she's a two-hander.
She may be ambidextrous because she's almost 3, and she's in my case, my mom, when I was young, she put the fork in my right hand. I'd switch it to my left. She'd put it back in my right. I'd switch it back to my left. She knew I was left. My daughter is good at everything she does with both hands. So, I'm going to train her in every freaking sport there is and see what she's
Rob,
good at.
I feel like they could have put a fork in your head and you would have still eaten it, though. That's the thing. That's fair. Come on.
That's fair. No, that's a fair point. But, I'm in a lot of, kids and millennials and stuff like that don't have the passion. They were never brought up to try to be the best of what they are because of the participation trophies and all that. I'm going to instill in my daughter, just like Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. You need to win. You need to try your best at everything you do.
I have a shirt that says second is the first place to lose.
There you go.
It's not just something. So
and Go ahead. We're all winners in our own way.
I was going to say we're all wired a little differently. Just where you apply it is what it is. Go ahead.
The thing is, you have to lose at things to learn humility. It took me a lot of years. I'm sure it did for Johnny too. It took me a lot of years to realize that in order to succeed in life, you have to have some kind of failure. You have to have something to kind of compare that to. Getting back to Pete. He won a lot. He was on fire a lot. There were times where he probably didn't have a lot of setbacks. And I don't know personally, but I'm saying when you're locked into a zone,
it was too easy almost.
It was too easy for him. But kids nowadays, they have to learn that not everything's going to be handed to you. You do have to earn everything that you get. You do have to work hard for everything that you have. But don't be afraid to fail. Failure is the mother of all learning. And repetition is also, repetition is the mother of all learning.
JP, I'm sorry, Rob, so you mentioning Pete with his dad, and all that. I'm JP, were you supposed to be the bowler? I know your dad. I don't think he'd push you to or make you do anything. Were you attracted to it? I know it's about Pete also, and we'll get back to that. But
no, that's fine.
Was that something like he said, "Hey, do what you want. If you want to bowl, you bowl. You want to play baseball, you play baseball. You do what you need to." I mean, I can't see him forcing anything on you. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what he said. He said,
So just
Johnny,
be you. Be you.
if you want to learn how to play guitar, I'll support you in that. I was just always around bowling, and I lived a very, very fortunate, lovely childhood because of bowling. Got to meet a lot of famous people and got to call a lot of people that I look up to friends, through the life provided from Dad and the sport.
I mean, I remember you mentioning to us when we did a show, just kind of just a goof. It wasn't a goof. We just did a fun show. We did a show about bowling, see how it was. And you had mentioned, that you can sit back and say everything in your life was because of bowling. Everything, who you've met, what you have, what you've learned, your standards, morals, things like that are because of bowling. And that's a pretty powerful thing to come across, where just what if? I mean, I'm sure it would have been better no matter what, but not better, but it would have been okay. But just what if? Imagine your dad never set foot on the lane. Holy shit.
Got that right. I have no idea what I would be doing if he never set foot on bowling lane. Because I probably never would have set foot inside a bowling alley.
We obviously wouldn't be doing the show.
Well, there you go.
And you probably wouldn't have met him, Oach.
And there's a climax to that. That's what I get because of this show.
Yeah, I mean, everything happens for a reason. I know that's an overused cliche, but it really does ring true. Everything that happens is for a reason. If his dad would have made one different decision as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, we wouldn't be here. Everything has kind of fallen in place the way it was supposed to, if you believe in that.
No, but he's got a common denominator. Most people have, I went to college and this happened. I went here and this happened. And not to say that you didn't live, but your common denominator is literally it's due to this. You learn so much just about you, about life, about what to do, more shit than beyond just throwing a ball up the lane.
Man, what not to do.
That's the part people maybe don't ever see or understand. So,
yeah, what's cool about bowling, too, is you meet people from all walks of life. And the bowling world itself is huge, but it's really very tiny. So, the amount of people I'm talking about people that just love to bowl, and CEOs of companies all the way down to
the everyman, the garbage man, or whoever. And
people like me, I should say. And everybody's got a story, and everybody has a reason why they started bowling. And when everybody's in a bowling alley, nobody gives a shit about anything else. Everybody just wants to be there to bowl, and everybody enjoys the sport itself.
It's a little bit of mindless therapy, except the therapy when you have to grind and then you start thinking too much. But you're not worried about your mortgage, your bills.
Yeah, it's a good sport to be involved in.
Unless you're bowling action late nights and you lose your house payment.
Or if you got the freaking mafioso showing up which, man, your dad told me stories. Holy shit.
We still got to get him on the show, Johnny.
The entire show. You'll need more than 90 minutes for that one.
I only got about 30 at the bar one night, and I was like, dude, that makes Vietnam look like a cakewalk right now, dude. Are you kidding me?
Oh, at times I'm sure it was more dangerous to be in a bowling alley than it would be in Vietnam in some cases.
By the time he's done telling you guys stories about his childhood, they could film 3 movies.
Yeah. Has your dad written a book or ever thought about writing a book?
I think he's been asked by every single person in the world to write a book. And no, he hasn't. And he loves to read. And he's extremely well-spoken. And I don't understand why he hasn't.
Hates to write or something? Because and his stories are legendary. Just just on leagues.
But I mean, get a ghostwriter. Just sit down, record, tell the stories, and have somebody write it for him.
Ocho, Dad's problem has always been he's very, very protective.
He doesn't peel back the curtain, and that's why I was so ecstatic that he would tell me some of these things.
So he's kayfabe, to use a wrestling term. He won't let people inside on
the business.
He's protecting the business.
Yeah, he's always been that way.
But it's not like he's a douchebag or something like that. People are going to find out he's a douche because he's a nice guy. You can't fake it that long. That's my point. We're joking now. Of course, we know Johnny Petraglia Jr. is not a douchebag. But for anybody that knows him, he's actually just a freaking normal guy that wants to be treated as a normal guy, really.
That's really what it is. That's all he wants.
I mean, did he ever talk about you or talk to you about how he handled his success, or did he like the attention, or it just sounds like he was really, really good at this one thing, and got a lot of notoriety for it and made a lot of money, and like you said, was able to give you a good life and have a great life for himself. But did he like the attention?
Fuck yeah! I think and I think he tried so hard to not show it respectfully because he's so full of natural raw emotion. The same way I am. I'm his son. We are so emotional over everything.
That might be a Guinea thing too, because Ocho being part, I'm a Lucho Italian, everything so. That could be it too.
But I can tell that he craved it and he loved it because he's, I don't know, I guess part of getting older is you get a little bit more angry, but he's seemingly, because he's lost that, I don't want to say that feeling of importance, but he's lost his feeling of importance in the bowling world. So I feel like that's what's kind of made him a little bit more depressed as he's gotten older, other than his body not allowing him to throw the ball.
So, you just said that. Do you think he lost that, or he's upset that he can't replicate what he did because he's not important in the bowling world anymore? Because, my God, anybody asks, they talk, you mention his name, and I can talk to him. No way. I can't believe that would happen. But maybe it's the inability to be what you were. I'm reaching, maybe. I don't know.
No, you're spot on. I mean, let's face it. My dad's 74. And he'll be the first one to tell you when he has to bowl 2 blocks in one day and he only gets an hour break, he doesn't know what to do. He can't do anything to stop his body from saying, hey, man, I'm not going to be able to move.
Yeah, he's even as much Advil as you can, then that knee is still going to hurt. That thumb's still throbbing every throw. And I don't even know I don't think his thumb's that much. I know it's gnarled, but I know his knee is the real issue. And so – But
it's like any athlete or, anybody that's that great in their sport. Look at Michael Jordan. I mean, he came back and played on the Wizards for how long? I mean, it was almost embarrassing to watch. I mean, you're talking, legitimately, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, or at least of his era. And, you still want to try to do it because mentally you still think you can do it. It's like me when I had lost 60-something pounds, I was doing DDP yoga. I was working out, an hour, 2 hours a day. I was teaching classes. Now, 60, 70, 80, 90 pounds later that I put back on, mentally, I'm still fucking doing those routines, but physically my body's like, no, fuck you. You can correlate that to wrestling, guys hanging on too long like Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan and guys like that. Their body breaks down, but in their mind, they're still, the fucking king. They're still the icon. They're still the legends. I can see where Johnny's dad would be like, mentally, who's better than Johnny Petraglia Sr.? Who has more knowledge and more ability than him? Not many people. But, his body breaks down. You look at Doyle Brunson if you want to look at poker players. I mean, you want to talk about a grind. Playing fucking, World Series of Poker tournaments, like the main event, 10, 12-hour days at 75, 80 years old. Mentally, is he one?
The brain doesn't synapse like that.
The brain doesn't do that, but the body does. He has to go take pee breaks, or he has to go fucking eat something, or he has to go take a nap. Like his body can't hold up for 12 hours. I mean, it happens to everybody. It's just
let's not forget though, too, JP. Your dad. I think it was 1971 that he led the tour in earnings. He won a handful. I mean, that's success at a young age. What was he? 22. Imagine us with that kind of coin at age 22. I don't even know how old he was, but I didn't do the math. What was it?
24.
24. So that's a fistful of 50s right there. So I mean, most people would peter out after 5 years with that kind of success, that kind of, again, trying to keep your mental faculties while still being the top of your game. And he's done it. He's got a record, right? And like, he's got a tournament in 6 decades. He's the only guy to do it. I think I got that.
Yeah. 6 decades victories and cashed in PBA events in 7.
Who the fucking do that? Which means he did it recently, obviously.
Yeah.
And like we'd kill for a half of that talent or a crumb of that talent, which you got.
Yeah, and his mentality is that he still is trying to figure out a way to do it. That's
to win too. That's the thing, and that's the wiring, man. Like, he doesn't want to just cash.
Yeah, he's not going out there to take the curtain call and enjoy everybody like Carmen Salvino's been doing. He's going out there trying to figure out how to win and how to make his body move to the foul line enough because he still thinks he can win. That's how you're a champion.
And that's the greats also learn how to adapt. You want to correlate that to baseball. If you're not throwing 95, 96 anymore back in the 80s or 90s, you get a guy like, John Smoltz or Glavine or Greg Maddux who just learned how to fucking paint. They had to adjust their game. They had to adjust their mechanics. It's no different than bowling. If Johnny Sr. fucking figures it out, he's going to kill it.
Right.
Which does go back to Pete, like you said, because Pete was the guy. I mean, I think we were still doing a topic here. That could adapt to the lane condition. Hand position, ball, still get that snap at the end. And regardless of when the oil started becoming a factor, when the ball started becoming more aggressive, he was the guy that, like you said, could, polish it up no matter what he had to do through each generation. Do they call it generation or decade or what do they call it when it's when evolution of it or?
Yeah, each era.
Yeah, good point. Way to simplify things. Good job. I'll carry the show.
No, but he was able to adjust. I mean, and right up until even 2010. When he won the U.S. or was it 2012 when he won the U.S. Open and completed the Triple Crown. I mean, it doesn't matter what decade it was. Pete was able to adjust, and that's what the greats do. I mean, you still look at Walter Ray and Norm Duke. Still on Fox bowling with the younger guys and still holding their own because he learned how to adapt. I think Walter Ray probably throws it harder now, Johnny, than he ever did before, right?
He still gets it up there. It's not harder than it used to be. He used to get it down there pretty quick.
Yeah.
But considering the strain on Walter's body now, he can't get his arm as close to his body as he used to. But he still gets it up there. Because his game has just been gentle and simple his entire life, just like Norm.
JP, mechanically, is it easier for a taller guy, like a longer guy, or a shorter guy? Because I feel like a shorter guy, you can use your foot speed and your hips almost and pendulum it. But I feel like a longer guy, you can use more leverage. So, or is that what each advantage is? I'm legit talking mechanics. I don't even know.
If you go by what the record books say, the shorter guys are better. It's easier for the shorter guys.
Oh, so just go titles by titles. All right. Because I know you used to do lessons and whatnot. So,
no, I mean, the guys that are lower to the foul line, you eliminate the possibility of their upper body getting too far ahead of their lower body simply because they're on the ground.
So there's less wasted motion almost. You're so compact.
Right to bodybuilding. So the reason Arnold Schwarzenegger is Arnold Schwarzenegger is because Arnold Schwarzenegger was not 5'7", like Lee Priest and Jay Cutler and
Franco Columbo.
Exactly. And all the bodybuilders, shorter guys build muscle easier. The range of motion is shorter. So a small guy can outbench a guy with a longer, wingspan.
Yeah, you don't have to go down near as far. Your chest is already bigger. You're going down 3 inches as opposed to 12 inches.
Yeah, look at Stallone. Stallone's what, like 5'6", 5'7"?
Exactly. So guys like Marshall Holman, Norm Duke, E.J. Tackett, Jason Belmonte, Anthony Simonson, they're all Norm Duke. They're always there. To me, I feel like the guys that are lower to the ground that are fluid and like have good hand-eye coordination, less can go wrong with their swings and their games.
Yeah. And that shows you how good, like, sorry, Johnny, that shows you how good, like, a guy like Steve Cook was. I mean, he was a massive guy. I mean, he was tall and long and lean, and he was one of the greatest bowlers to ever get on the lane.
Yes, exactly. But the bigger guys, when you look at the bigger guys on tour, the bigger guys always seem to have either a hitch or a pause in their swing to get their timing in line to get it to where the shorter guys never even have to pause. They can almost run to the line. Yeah. Think of other short guys off the top of my head. Bob Learn Jr., Amleto Monticelli, Wayne Webb. All guys like that. They're all very Brian Voss. They're clean.
There's no wasted motion with any of those guys. That's a good point.
Well, I would say ideally, if you're a bowler, if you want to be a bowler, ideally you want to be 5'8" or less. You're going to most likely be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I was 6'2". That's why my backswing was up to the ceiling. So, I mean, it's just, it is what it is.
Damn, I'm 6'8". I guess I'm screwed. Damn it.
For his entire career, everybody has always said Walter Ray's got this unorthodox style, right? How crazy would Walter Ray really look getting to the foul line if he was 5'7"? Yeah. He would kind of look like E.J. Tackett with a hop. Yep. When you look at old belly out, arm swing, and belly in, the only difference is EJ's front arm or his left arm is in front of his face a little bit more than Walter's is.
When you say belly out, you're talking like almost like the figure eight, like the Lee Trevino thing, because he has to come around and hit and then get back in the slot almost. Is that called the slot for bowling?
The best definition you could have put up. Fantastic work, Ocho.
See, Ocho does his research, man. Like I've been, I dabbled in this. I read like one article in the last 8 years. I know bowling, man. What the frig?
On that note, since you hijacked the entire show, we're going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of current day bowling. We got some rule changes we're going to talk about, and we'll just talk about the current bowling scene. We'll take a break. We'll be right back right after this.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Welcome back to Straight Up 5.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of our debut edition of Straight Up 5. Let's talk about some of the rule changes. I know Ocho has a lot of questions for Johnny, because he asked me and I didn't have a clue. Ocho, there's something that's been really getting your go. And we talked about it a little bit on our wrestling show the other night, but, to lay it out there for Johnny, there's a recent rule change regarding weight blocks and side weight and stuff like that you wanted to learn more about. So let Johnny know what's gotten your craw.
What got my go? Actually, I was curious. So you said I know you love this title, this Straight Up 5 thing. Is that because we may get 5 listeners, or was it something? It was a legit bowling thing, right?
I don't know why I bother. Sometimes
All right, can you answer the question, please? Because it's stuck in my craw and it gets my go.
Straight up, Johnny doesn't know to get my Go reference. We'll explain.
I know, and he doesn't know that. So
and nobody else is going to know except for our wrestling fans. We'll explain that off air.
The listeners know how we don't have any listeners too. So thank you, Bobo, and tweets of Jay Baca and
I think Marky Mark will be listening to this
and
too.
Marky Mark,
he's
too.
a Canadian bowler himself.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a bowler. Right. So no, Straight Up 5 is just again, eventually we'll have titles for our segments and stuff like that. This is obviously the first show. We're kind of finding our groove and learning out, like Ocho apparently likes to host and steal the show.
If a bowler watches it, they'll know, or listens to it, they'll understand it. We get that. So, but it's funny, a wrestling guy's going to go, hey, straight up what?
Straight Up 5?
Especially with Ocho. Straight up what?
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, Straight Up 5 can be a lot of things, right? I mean, in bowling, it's what we like to shoot, on the house shot, or I'm sure one of our segments will be like what we did in their second segment, which is supposed to be about people who are becoming real talk. We can call it straight talk. If you
what
want
does Straight Up 5 mean in porn?
Straight Up 5. Know? Well, I mean, you ever see Total Recall?
You bet. No. 3 boobs? Like, is there 5 boobs? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just think of that, right?
I'm in. Well, I guess I can bow out now. Yeah. So this rule changed. So I just learned of it. Apparently, when they would drill bowling balls, you had to have a certain amount of weight per side of each ball due to weight blocks and whatnot. We've discussed this about asymmetry in the bowling ball and to make it hook and everything. And I come to find out the point of the weight hole was to make the ball more legal, I feel like. But yet now they said you got to plug all those holes, and you got to plug your thumb hole if you don't use your thumb hole. So now, and again, Ocho hates to – I mean, look, I love plugging holes. I hate permanently plugging holes because I want to be able to get back in that hole again and again and again. And I don't think it's fair to plug a hole permanently. So I just learned of this rule about the USB-C. You got to plug all your holes permanently that you don't use. And I think that's unfair, anatomically and bowling-wise. So somebody help me out with this one.
Well, I'll answer your question by proposing a few others. First question is, do you use your thumb when you bowl?
Do I use my thumb for what? In the bowling ball or for other things?
Do you use your thumb when you go bowling?
I put my thumb in the bowling ball when I throw the bowling ball. I have 2 thumbs. One does another thing while I'm bowling. I have a weird, unique bowling style.
Well, the hand that's in the ball, what are you doing with the other hole that it bothers you so much that you have to plug it?
Why did they drill a hole when they drilled the bowling ball?
Because there's certain bowlers that throw the ball a little faster, like 19.5 miles an hour, whose rev rate may not be very high, and they like to play Straight Up 5.
We all do.
Their name is Ocho, and their ball driller takes the best bowling ball and applied that weight hole during the time that it met the regulations of USB-C standards and also made the ball hook more rather than forcing your hand to do the work for it.
So they did me a favor is what they were doing. Only because they knew it was me. It was probably only – so I'm the only one that had a weight hole, or did thousands and thousands and millions of bowlers have it?
Every ball that I have to this day still has a weight hole, obviously because I've had it for like 25 years.
So it's not just me. Son of a bitch.
Of professional bowlers on tour, above 30% of pro bowlers on tour wouldn't have thrown a bowling ball unless it had a weight hole in it.
All right, so help us out here. So explain that. Like you said, it would make it hook more due to the counterbalance, so it would be...
So, for instance, during the time the weight holes were allowed, a bowling ball was allowed to have no more than 1 ounce of side weight or top weight, so thumb weight, finger weight, or side weight. So in other words, if you looked at your hand, the dead center of your grip, if you drew a plus sign that went between your fingers, down your thumb, and then across that plus sign in the center of your palm. So the top of that quadrant can't weigh an ounce more than the bottom, same for the side to side of that plus sign. So if you were to take a bowling ball for an average league bowler, ideally you would put the pin, which is the dot on the ball, or the top of the weight block, and the center of gravity, which also has a marking, somewhere like 2 inches on the right side of your hand in that ball, which now makes the right side of the bowling ball have most of the weight block housed inside the cover of the ball. So now that side of the ball will weigh over an ounce more than the left side of the bowling ball. The weight hole is then applied to make it legal while still leaving the weight block on that side of the ball, which is the side that eventually has to fall over, which makes the ball curve.
So it makes the ball hook just a little more and maybe hit the pocket just a little better, a little harder.
Yes. They got rid of that now as of August 1st, 2020, because they also changed the 1 ounce rule to 3 ounces, which virtually means any layout you put in a bowling ball right now
will be legal, no problem.
So you can now manipulate the bowling balls to do exactly what you were trying to make the balls do with the application of weight holes, because they've broadened the side and top weight limits so much.
But by plugging the hole, doesn't that then even out the weight, or do I get it re-drilled where my hand would be then?
No, so let's say your ball had a weight hole in it, and that weight hole was put in to give your ball exactly 1 ounce of side weight. Now that hole gets full, and now you have 1.5 ounces of side weight.
Oh, so they made it less legal technically. Oh, I'm good. Oh, shit, never mind. So these should be better.
2 ounces by the no extra hole rule. So it's good.
All right, then explain the thumb hole rule then.
For the no hand, for the 2 thumber, let's try that again. Yes.
Yeah, I use 2 thumbs a lot, buddy. We're good. This is a show that can go all around, man. Don't worry.
For the no thumbers and the 2-handers, they stopped that because of ball manipulation within one bowling ball. So now, not only are you not allowed to have the 3rd hole, so you can't use it for.
So you can't throw a spare at it or anything if you wanted to.
Right. Well, not if you use your thumb when you shoot. Whereas
right. But if it is a strike ball, chances are
you're not going to use it to shoot a 10-foot. So what happens is, what was I just saying? Oh yeah. So the no thumbers have to put an X on the ball where the center of their palm would be. So if they were ever caught turning the ball upside down, so the X is on the other side, they could be disqualified from a tournament because that's ball manipulation. So they do that to kind of enforce the rule and also apply the same rule that's been applied to bowlers that do use their thumb, that every hole in the bowling ball must be used. There can't be a vacant hole.
Now, again, this 4th hole, I can't say I used it at bowling. However, what if I could prove it got used just a certain way, whether it's a black light or, a acetone test or something, chem strip, ketone test? Is there any way I could still be legal in having that hole? With a doctor's note, maybe?
Well, the doctor's note for Ocho, maybe. But the general.
What if I wrote the doctor's note? Would that work?
I think you can handle that test.
So if I were to join a league this summer, Johnny, and I mean, we've talked about my balls before. I have a teal Rhino Pro.
Every show coming out Thursday at RTW Network.
I have a Swamp Monster, I have a teal Rhino Pro, and I have a forest green Quantum. Yeah. So
he fucking knew Quantum. Jesus Christ.
He's I mean, he's a genius. So I have to plug my weight holes now if I want to join a league. Is that correct? If it's sanctioned? Fuck me. I got to learn how to throw now.
I mean, I will say this for the record. Any league bowler in their right mind that decides to walk up to somebody, and especially somebody with a teal Rhino Pro, want to bitch at them for not having their weight hole plugged rather than saying, hey, dude, nice bowling ball, I don't think deserves to be bowling anyway. But
okay, let me ask you this then. I got to cut you off because the reason I found out about this rule, shut up, Radical Francois. This is important now. The reason I bring this up is because we were in the process of sweeping the first place team to become. I learned of this 3 weeks ago, not even Ocho weeks ago. And the guy, I'm using a ball by Ron Glick that he gave me. It's purple, and it's a gravity something or other. It's purple, and it's got a hole in it. And I think the ball's 15 or 18 years old. And the guy was like, hey, by the way, I wouldn't say it, But if somebody notices you got a weight hole in that bowling ball, they'd be pissed.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I still kept using it because I'm like, and then I'm looking, and every one of the freaking bowling balls got a weight hole in it. Gravity something. What the hell is it called? What's it say? Shift. Yes. Gravity shift.
I told you he'd know.
It's purple. Well, I said it's purple. So is that a recent ball? That's not a new bowling ball, right?
That's Norm Duke won the U.S. Open with that ball at Carolier.
Oh, nice. When? 1984? I'm kidding.
5 maybe?
95? Yeah.
2006, I'm thinking.
Oh, 2006.
All right. So it's, what did I say? 15 years old, 16 years old. So I'm using a 16-year-old. Is that old enough to where the guy's a dick to say that then? As opposed to the quantum teal Magnum PI thing you were saying?
One more time.
Is the guy a dick for mentioning that to me using a bowling ball that's 15 years old? Are you recording me or something right now, or are you looking something up?
And it cracked, but only on the backside.
Oh, just like me, man. So, so you're saying if somebody says Radical Francois over here is using a Magnum PI bowling ball from the 80s, they're a dick. So is this guy a dick for mentioning it to me? He wasn't mad, but he was like, I won't say anything, but you better plug these bowling balls up because, and I'm using a ball freaking from 2005.
Who said that to you? The guy that gave you the ball?
No, Glick wouldn't say that. The guy I was bowling against, I was crushing him. I was shooting another probably 780, 790.
Well, if he didn't rat you out,
he didn't.
He just told you that, I would say thank you.
Ah, fuck him. I didn't like him. He was a dick.
Well, I guess I got some work to do then if I want to get back into the leagues this year. I mean,
your bowling balls are the least of your problems where you got work to do, Radical Rob. You need to freaking get on your DDP yoga and whatnot. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, buddy.
That hurt my feelings.
It shouldn't. Have you seen Kingpin?
Yeah, no, I have.
There you go.
So, I do have a lot of work to do. I'm not going to buy new equipment. Obviously, if I have to plug the holes, I will. But, I mean, what are the odds, Johnny, of, like you said, of somebody knowing, not just saying something, but how many people actually know the fucking rules? I mean, let's just say, are the league presidents supposed to know that rule when we start the season?
This has been a rule since August 1st, 2020.
I mean, COVID, people don't get out anymore. I mean,
like I said, I've seen a handful of bowling balls that still have a weight hole. Majority of people abide by the rule. Every bowling alley's got at least one person that is going out of their way to ruin somebody else's day. That's the downfall of bowling too. That's the only bad part about bowling is there is that one guy. Always, no matter what, it's always there.
I mean, that should be a topic.
Yeah, that should be a topic. Well, I mean, look at you guys are baseball fans. I mean, pitchers were always trying to find a way to get an edge, like scuffing the ball or using pine tar, using shit on their hat, like some Vagisil or whatever, like Major League, get 3 different substances on the inside of your hat, Yeah,
but there's no having an extra hole.
Everybody looks for an edge. Like Johnny said, turn the ball upside down as a no thumber. Who the fuck would even be paying attention to that?
Right.
So you're always looking for an edge.
But it might still roll on the ball return or something like that. Or I don't know. Is that really? I didn't think people would look for that. I don't know, but that's also because I'm just an avid, active. I play this activity, is what I guess I should say.
If somebody had a 4-ounce weight hole in their ball, I mean, unless you're, you got a fucking eagle eye, you're not even going to look for that shit. You just see a fucking side weight. You don't know where its location is on the ball and relative. God damn it.
Relative to, not relatively. It's relative to.
Relative to the center placement of the ball or where the fucking, finger holes are drilled. Yeah, Johnny might notice that, but your average person isn't. So people are always looking for an edge to,
Yeah, but Johnny's not a dick and wouldn't say anything.
Well, yeah, probably not.
That's the other thing. He's going to go, hey, nice 184. I'll see you next week.
Is there anything else you want to ask Johnny while we have him here, Ocho?
No, he asked me questions, man. I was his mentor for years. It is fun to banter this way because I would never want to pull back the curtain. So no, I'm good. I'm glad about that league rule that no one ever told us about, and some freaking schlep rock the other night had to tell me, which I got my shit drilled. Left 2 pocket 710, so maybe the ball is screwed up now.
You know, we've mentioned this before, Johnny. With the advent of the Dave and Buster's or the arcades that are in the laser tag and all the shit that got going on in bowling. I mentioned Bradley Bowl was my home lanes. That's now a fucking, bowling entertainment center, whatever the hell they call it now. There's like 3 VIP lanes and the rest of it is a bunch of other bullshit. You mentioned on our last show that that takes away, there's a whole crop of people that won't know, league bowling, won't know junior leagues. It's taking a lot of kids and a lot of people out of the game. Do you ever see bowling making a comeback, or do you think now it's just it's an even bigger niche game than it used to be?
I got to give kudos to the PBA with the tie-in with Fox because they're trying to make the public realize, hey man, you can make a living being a bowler. Like they're trying to showcase these events with all this money that's available. So I give the PBA kudos on that. But truth be told, the sport itself at that level, I'm scared to death. I've been scared to death for a long time. The elimination of the pinnacle of any sport will always eliminate people that pursue that sport. I mean, this is the first time in the history of bowling that our members that USBC memberships are below 2 million. It used to be 10.
Yeah.
So, like, bowling centers, multi-million-dollar centers like Red Rock out here in Vegas. They just didn't put this $2 million system that puts the images on the lane. I forgot what the name of the system. I think it's called Spark. And they also eliminated all of their evening leagues to pay for that system so they could run Cosmic from 4 p.m. to midnight. So, I mean, you got 70 lanes there, and you have 12 VIP lanes. You can't have one league.
So they got to chase the money almost at this point in order to maybe get the leagues back. Did COVID do any of that or no? COVID must have hit it somehow.
It's dying. And then simultaneously, while all the big corporations are driving out league bowlers, all the small bowling centers are closing.
Yeah.
And they can't modernize their centers to match what the big centers are doing with their centers, which all in all is eliminating the only stability that a bowling alley ever had to begin with. So what's going to happen? How many parents are going to tell their kids to bowl?
Yeah.
At this point,
that's sad, man. Yeah.
It's almost like Home Depot having everything, and they forced all the mom and pop hardware stores kind of out of business too, like because can they keep up? But how many Home Depots are there? They're few and far between at this point too.
Oh, look at Walmart though. I mean, Walmart's a prime example of that. Or your local grocery store getting into pharmaceuticals. When your mom and pop, drugstore are getting put out of business because Publix or Kroger or whoever else now has, a pharmacy with better, better prices. Right. But, bowling.
Way to depress us now, freaking JP.
I'm just saying,
and it's on a high note, but God,
I've been bowling since I was 6 years old, and I have where I am now in Middle Tennessee. There's one bowling center that still has leagues. Everything else has either shut down, like Johnny said, or have been converted to, the entertainment venues, with laser tag and arcades and cosmic bowling.
It's funny, as I thought JP was going to say something good when he said the Fox thing, because we had mentioned that, and I was like, oh, maybe it is going to make
it gives us hope.
But then, right? But then the stats are still legit there. Like the money are there.
The money is what they want. The money, bringing families in, that can have parties there and do all kinds of different stuff.
Well, that's how it worked back when anyways. Like, that's what got people into bowling. So what happened?
We're in a different age, man.
Did X Games ruin it? Did Travis Pastrana doing a backflip on a motorcycle ruin that or something? Like, I ride dirt bikes. I race dirt bikes. Well, I haven't for 3 years, but shit.
Well, that's a great question, Johnny. When did that shift?
It's shifted when...
The house shot, damn it. I'm telling you, it's the fucking house shot. Sorry.
The bowling balls.
Or the bowling. Okay, all right, both. Or bowling balls. Right.
became a competition it became a battle amongst the bowling ball brands, producing all of these bowling balls. Trying to think of the best way to answer this question.
You'd walk in with one or two bowling balls for years, your dad would say, right?
Yeah, but the real big thing was when we lost the contract with ABC.
Mm-hmm.
Slot. We lost Wide World of Sports 3:00 on Saturday when people were in front of their televisions. We lost
when there were much less channels also too, so it was front and center. Like you only had 13 or 24 things to choose from, and there it was. Like,
and now going back to the bowling balls, what you just said was, I used to ride dirt bikes. Yeah, you're right. But did you ever go to watch Travis Pastrana or somebody else on a dirt bike and say, hey, man, I ride dirt bikes. You think you can get me one of those and have them give it to you? No. When you go to the Valspar Championship and you watch all the guys on the range, you don't walk up and say, hey, I'm a 2 handicap. I want to try that TaylorMade sim. It doesn't happen. You don't just get free stuff at the pinnacle level. Bowlers, you know what you got to do to be a PBA member? You got to
pay $200 and average 200 or something like that.
Average 200. I know people that average 200 whose real average is 150. That's how easy it is to average 200 now. And the people that do that are seeking out contracts from companies. There's only 4 companies.
And these guys are getting bowling balls for days and days, and they can't do shit with them, and they're never going to oh, my God.
They don't even bowl events. They don't even do anything. That's how screwed up the bowling market is because of the amount of bowling balls and the competition amongst the brands. So bowling has been destroyed by not treating the pinnacle as such. There is no way in hell that I should get the same amount of bowling balls that Anthony Simonson does in a year if I wanted to. There is no way in hell that Ron Glick should get bowling balls from Storm.
This is the passion that I wanted.
I just want to tell you that. Why on earth does somebody like that deserve a contract?
This is the passion that I wanted. I had a conversation with Roger Gardner, good friend of yours, maybe only 2 months ago, and he said he averaged 197 and I don't know, 50 years ago or something like that. No, he just made it over 200 and could bowl on the tour, and he was the greatest day of his life because there weren't any 200 average bowlers. And I mean, and that was before his eye went, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So we're talking in 1971-ish, 72-ish, carrying a 200 average meant like you had to really make your shot. And granted, Ocho can do anything, but, carrying a 215 average, I think even I'm overshooting a little bit.
No offense, Ocho. You've been bowling for how many years? 6 to 8?
8, maybe.
I've been bowling for 30 years. You bowl better now than I ever did.
Why is that? Why would I be offended by that? I'm an athlete. You sit there.
No, it's a different game now. If I got back in it, you
still wouldn't beat me. I mean,
I'd probably average 215, 220. I mean, I was a lifetime 180. No offense though. I mean, like,
no, I agree with this.
You shouldn't be as good as you are unless you're really a natural, just fucking gifted bowler. You shouldn't be averaging what you are. And you wouldn't do it 20 years ago. I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying,
I'm the first person to say it.
But Johnny's right. This is
what is. I should maybe average 180-ish, 185-ish. I can make my spares. I shouldn't be in the pocket this much.
Like I think you have to separate the pinnacle a little bit. Like everybody in the world has Storm bowling balls. Everybody in the world has this now. Like they all have the same stuff as the guys on tour. So make the qualification to be a PBA Tour professional that you have to average 225.
230 or something like that. Let Sean Riccardi get in there again or something, or Fury or those guys.
225 is what it's supposed to be. And from there, averaging 225, then within the ball brands, they should make separate brands. Like Hammer should make a brand called, I don't know, whatever. We'll just say Raw or whatever you want to call it.
Ocho.
And that's only the guys The only guys that get to throw that ball are the guys that won that year or finished in the top 10 in money. Like, make it.
It's almost like unlocking a level in a video game. Like, unless you get to that level, you got to unlock it, and then you get to use.
Like, exactly. If I even want to have a sniff at getting that tailor-made driver at the Valspar, first I'm going to have to get instruction from somebody. Like
Butch Harmon's going to talk to you for an hour, and then
through somebody at Golf Tech at my local store.
Right.
An ass and an elbow to Butch Harmon to try and get one contact of an agent of somebody who knows somebody to maybe get a day pass, hopefully find the guy on the grounds, and then
say a prayer and hope you get in there.
Say, you know what? You got a nice swing. I could tell you're a golfer. Why don't you try this model? But if you don't like it, send it back in 90 days. Otherwise, we're billing you. Okay, I'll try the driver now. In bowling, it's, you average 200? In South Point, in the Wednesday night mixers, here's a high road pearl. It's insanity.
So you're saying, like, maybe like the elite should only be able to use that certain kind of equipment? Is that pretty much what you're saying? Like, I can go out and buy the best bowling ball in the world right now if I had the money.
No, I think you should be able to use what the elite use. But okay. I feel only Jason Belmonte, Anthony Simonson, and P. Weber are allowed to throw the IQ anniversary.
Okay.
That the IQ anniversary, they should make 500 of them, and they should sell them for $8.99. That's what I think. And then,
right. So you're not dominating a house shot with that superior equipment also.
So if you want that superior equipment, you're going to pay for that. It's like bowling. A bowling pro shop is the only place I know that people go in there expecting to never pay what the price is. Like, I've never walked into a Dick's ever once in my life and looked at a price tag on a golf club and given him shit about it. Not once. I just don't do it. When I go into the shoe store and I want a new pair of Air Force Ones, I go, I hope they're still $109 because that's what they were 10 years ago. Cool. That's what I do. They're the same price. I never once say you can't knock these down to $79. It's like, not only do they get the free bowling balls, but they also want to not pay for the bowling balls.
And then get the drilling for it and then get to watch them throw a few throws and see if they do it right. And
right.
I'm liking this shit. Here we go. Now we got a raw JP. Speaking of raw, holy shit.
Real conversation about bowling, then it's going to come up.
It should. I agree, man. Like, look, I've never paid for a bowling ball before, only because I get freaking rehash shit. Like, everything of mine is a reboot. Like, I'm the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, basically. But should a reboot guy throw a 215? No, I get it.
But bowling equipment, like, shoes were always $60, $70. Balls, even back in the day, were expensive. I remember when the Quantum came out, it was like $205, $210 or something in my pro shop.
You'd only buy one ball. Now they got, totes and totes and totes of 12 bowling balls, too.
I get it, but I mean, it was always an expensive
That's why
sport.
it should be. It should be.
Yeah.
A bowling ball is old in a month now.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it a month. I still have my new releases from the last 2 new releases. And yesterday they introduced universal release dates for 5 new bowling balls. I still haven't drilled my shit from the last 2 shipments ago.
JP, how are they making money then?
I mean, therein lies the problem, right?
You're overproduction, like, and they're giving them to every tour guy. Like, I don't know how much the USBC is now down to less than 2 million members. That means that's clearly less bowling balls. So how are these companies, unless they're backed by?
How do they stay in business?
I mean, you'd think, wouldn't that be the downtrodden of it? I'm just talking supply and demand, dude. Like, this is basic economics here.
The cost of a bowling ball is not that much to construct. So, but also in turn, the profitability of a bowling ball is not that much. So there's only 4 major companies that are even producing bowling balls now. So the amount of balls that are still being produced are for the call, I would assume, of the amount of bowlers that are still in the rotation, so to speak. But like for a bowl, I don't know. There's too many bowling balls, man.
Wait, back in the day, you had what? You had Columbia, you had Ebonite, you had Brunswick.
Rhino, was that one?
Brunswick was Rhino was a Brunswick. You had Roto Grip. I mean, Storm. You had 10, 15 different companies.
Yeah. Well, but for instance, just go back to the mid-'90s. Well, let's just go to the mid-'90s, and let's think of any show. I'm going to pull a show out of thin air that I can think of. The U.S. Open when Dave Houston wins. It's 1995 in the arena in some college. I can't remember where they were. But Steve Hoskins is throwing a critical mass code red. Dave Houston's throwing a CUDA C. Paul Kaler's throwing a critical mass code red. Trying to think about Danny Wiseman's throwing a code red. Dave DeEntremont's throwing a code red. That was that show in 1995. You go the next week to, let's see, the Johnny Petraglia Open. You have a gold Rhino Pro, Bob Belmont, a blue Omega, Randy Peterson throwing a Forest Green Quantum, John Gant throwing a CUDA, and Ken McNeely throwing a CUDA. So that's 2 bowling shows, and what did I name? 7 bowling balls, maybe, out of the maybe 20 that were available for the entire year. Now, 30 bowling balls come out a month amongst all the brands. 30. Like, how can you ever maintain consistency with anything with that much product? I don't know.
Are they that much different each bowling ball? Like, I mean, because there's got to be specs. Much like, remember the 460cc golf club for the driver? They limited the top, the max head. Like, are there specs that you can't go over? And are there? Well,
you just said there's a 460cc, which is the big head, and then there's the small head. And if you get lucky, you got the big head, the small head, and the Tour Edition. And then from there, you can manipulate the shaft and the grip to your liking.
Mm-hmm.
And the arc of the club, right? So in bowling, you have Premier Performance, Upper Performance, Mid Performance, Affordable Performance, and Polyester. So you have 5 different levels in each brand. And in each level, you have solids, pearls, and hybrids.
Oh, gee, this is like boxing weight classes. There's only like...
So there's 5 different strains in each different stream. So what is that? Like 5 quinned? What is that?
Yeah, so you'll always be able to dial in something to, and like you're taking the skill out of it. The ball's going to do everything basically as soon as you match up with. Wow,
if you have
Dude, I'm getting pissed now. Shit, JP, fuck.
Now take everything I just said to you, and go tell the 200 league bowler that just got his PBA card that with everything I just told you, now
match up.
Weber, who he has to bowl against, has the backing of 3 or 4 different seasoned professionals behind him, telling him which layouts to put in which balls, what surfaces to put on which balls, so he can go out and do what he does every single week. And meanwhile, this guy averages 200 in his local Wednesday night league, and he's going to come out with his 3 comp bowling balls that he didn't pay $1 for to drill with his 2 name shirts. And he's going to expect to get treated the same way.
He's going to bowl straight up 5 and get crushed. Meanwhile, Pete Weber's got astrophysicists that know every freaking amount of, like, any friction, normal force, every physics freaking quantum fucking pattern they're going to freaking figure out and know wow. Oh my God, fuck this.
That's why the bar has to be raised and not lowered, because guys like that can't compete.
Yeah. I mean, Ocho, compare it to golf. Look at how long par 4s are now.
I was going to mention that. Honestly, I was going to say, Is this like you're playing like what's a course we play 6,300 yards, something like that? That's like our shit. Is it like playing like a 4,000 yard course like a house shot would be with the equipment?
No, it's like Dustin Johnson playing a 6,300 yard course.
So him able to overpower. No, but what about us? Like bring us or me or no, not me. Rob, take Rob here.
Us playing a par 3 golf course and shooting 71, and then going and telling people we shot 1.
You shot right. Okay, gotcha.
That's the comparison.
God
but
damn
like
it.
the pros now hit the golf ball on average 100 yards further than they hit it 15 years ago.
Yeah, a 7-iron used to be like $155, and now it's $220-ish or something like that.
1975, if you averaged 200, you were a god. Why the fuck? Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yeah, you already did.
Oh.
No.
Why on God's green earth in 2020 is it still 200 to be a Pro Bowler?
It's a fair point.
I agree. Or
Now,
do they want the members though? Do they want people in?
That's where it is, right, Johnny? They need to boost their numbers, so they kind of have to lower the bar a little bit to get more people in, right?
You would assume that, and then the problem is the people that are on the lower rung they don't want scratch bowlers anywhere near them. They want it to be 100% participatory, recreational, and that's the path that they want everything on. They don't want any involvement with the pinnacle of the sport. And the pinnacle of the sport doesn't want any involvement with people that want to be the pinnacle of the sport. It's all about getting memberships. Oh, we need your $99 installment and your $25 a month. You average 200, you can be a professional in this sport. They're almost dummying themselves down to a point that they're forcing the general public to believe it.
So that's it's funny you say that. Now I'm curious, what does the top guy think when he's crossing with one of these freaking schlep rocks that are 200 average and they come in and average 130 at the U.S. Open is an open, right? Like anybody can legit bowl in it. Is that how that works?
The U.S. Open, yeah.
But for the regular PBA tour, you have to be a member. Okay, so if they're crossing with these freaking J-bones that are playing straight up 5, are they pissed about like their oil carry then? Because they could screw up the legit pro, right? Or is that not a thing yet either? Do they treat everybody equally?
No, it is a thing. It'd be like a really, really good golfer getting paired up with somebody who doesn't repair their divots, or somebody who doesn't fix their ball marks or rake bunkers or drives the golf cart over the curb. They don't even realize that they're doing it.
They're wrecking the track is what they're doing.
Unaware of the etiquette of the sport. They're unaware of the morality of the game, whatever you want to say. So when guys come out and they only know one thing, it's not so much that the other pros get pissed at them, but they get upset that they're in the presence of somebody who isn't there with a similar game plan.
Right.
Because on tour, the biggest thing, the reason why I always say watching the women is so much more informative than watching the men is the women typically tend to stay in the same zone and they know how to break down lane together. So collectively, the women will always pave a path that's better than the men because they're usually in a smaller zone. The guys that go out on tour, the novice players that consider themselves pros that cross
are bowling like the women technically in a way.
Know how to do, which is whatever they know how to do, whether it's strapping it from the 4th hour or piping it up 5. Whatever they're doing what they know how to do, and they're not going to stray from it. And indirectly, what they're doing is they're taking that pattern that's designed to be played a certain way, and they're forcing a talented player to break away from it to the point that now they have to grind for 190 instead of cruise at 220. And they've indirectly changed the bowler's mentality simply by having no knowledge of what they're doing other than, hey, I average 200. I'm allowed to bowl this event.
So that is probably a thing. They're like, oh, God, here's a guy, here we are playing this, long oil pattern. Everyone's which is flooded outside. Everyone's deep inside. And, here's this one guy still pushing oil down from the outside, making that hang spot even worse. I know he loves you much. He loves you so much. He loves you. You're so cute.
I was allowed to talk to her while I was on camera with you.
That's all right. I was actually, you could say it. I'm agreeing with you. But no, so it's like you said, it's screwing up their actual game plan, which you come in, the pattern is meant to be played. Look, hit the pins. We get that. But like when there's a long pattern, you stay inside, you stay in the oil. You don't crank, you don't get out wide because it's flooded on the outside and that kind of thing. So here's a guy just throwing it directly at the pocket up 5, or even aiming at the pocket, making their shot squirrely, like you're saying. And then you're like, God, I got to get off of this pair because this guy's killing me or something like that. And he's a freaking idiot, doesn't know what he's doing.
Problem is on tour, you don't get away from that guy. That's the guy you bowl every game with. You
don't just switch? I thought like everything was like a...
On the tour, you have a cross. So the cross is, let's say you have 3 6-game blocks. And it's me, Ocho, and Rob. I'm bowling with Ocho and Rob, all 3 blocks, and we're moving to the same lanes.
No shit. I thought it was like tournament style where like it's usually like one team moves left or one pair moves left, one pair moves right kind of thing. So holy shit. See, I only teach it. I don't know it. That's all.
That's okay. That's my job.
I mean, it's the same thing with like, I got shit from a guy one time playing blackjack at the casino because I hit on the wrong card. He got fucking pissed. It's like, this guy fucking he's a career, he's a gambler. He's in the casino every day playing, 8-9 hours playing blackjack, and me coming in there just want to have a good time, just trying to win some money, not really knowing, the ins and outs of the game. Or you could even say that with poker. There used to be, we used to have home tournaments playing Texas Hold'em. Well, we had one of our friends that would just fucking play anything. Didn't fucking matter. She plays 7-deuce offsuit, we have strength of hands. I don't know if you guys are familiar with poker, but there's obviously different strength of hands, and she would fucking play anything. You never knew what the fuck was in her hand. Could have been pocket aces, could have been 7-deuce offsuit. People, they'd let anybody play poker. If you got money to go in the World Series of Poker and play in the main event, you got 10 grand, you can fucking enter. That should be reserved for the best of the best. And that's kind of where my point is getting to. Like to what Johnny is saying, a 200 bowler should not be in the pinnacle of the fucking sport. You should not be able to just do the bare minimum to get in there. It should be for the best of the best. It shouldn't be about how much money you have or what your, how low your average is.
Rob, like you're saying, that's their job too. That's
their job.
That's their job. So they're dependent. Not that the top guys. Mike Reisner, a very well-known bowler in the area, awesome bowler, right? We can agree to that, JP.
Oh yeah.
And he'd said go ahead.
99 Super Beast, Hill Lanes. Let's go.
I don't know what that means. Shit.
He will.
I got to text him then. I haven't texted him since the only thing he ever texts me is when I hosel the ball, and he'll write, "Hey, did you hosel that?" So he was saying these are the best in the world, and they're not only not treated as such, like the best in the world at anything. You can be the best sewer, and you should be treated as such.
Like polyester.
Yes, the evil tailor. So this is their job, and it's like you're going to your job. Someone's basically screwing up your job for you because they don't take it seriously, and it's not their job. It's their hobby. They're going to try it out. But these guys, again, and remember, the wiring, because I feel like it all gets intertwined. The wiring is different for these guys, and they've prepared and practiced and, mentally, I'm like Tiger Woods would say, he's played the course forwards and backwards in his mind. I got to figure, bowling, you're mentally seeing these shots. You're visualizing, all right, I'm going over the fourth hour. I'm going to hit it down the lane, the eighth board, and then it's going to come in. And you're watching this in your brain, and then some freaking schmuck in a hat comes in and swirls up that, and instantly, and you're got to bowl the whole time with them. I didn't even know that. Like, they're legit screwing with their job is what it is. It's kind of screwed up, but I'm getting fucking fired up about this shit. I don't even like bowling.
It's the truth, though. And just before John, we'll wrap it up here in a second because I know we're going a little bit longer than we wanted to. But, going back to poker, you had a guy like Jamie Gold, who won the World Series of Poker, had the money to enter in 2006. He had been playing some tournaments here and there, but he wasn't, in the casinos every day like Phil Hellmuth and Doyle Brunson and some of your top guys. He comes in here. And look, poker, you have to be very good, but you also have to be very lucky too. It's obviously luck of the draw when it comes to cards and all that. But, he goes into the World Series of Poker, the biggest tournament of the year as an amateur, and wins $12 million. And, and your top guys of the sport who do this every single day, for their living, kind of took offense to an amateur. Chris Moneymaker was another one. He was the one that kind of started the poker boom. When he won the World Series of Poker, because he wasn't a professional. You shouldn't be allowed to be at the top level of a particular game or sport or profession unless you've paid your dues and you've.
But wait, if you win though, like I see getting there, but if then you win, like maybe isn't that a feather in your cap though?
Well, again, that's kind of like I said with Moneymaker. That's what started the big poker boom, and I mean, poker was on every fucking channel you could turn on around 2004, 2005.
200 average bowlers don't win bowling tournaments. You don't see, and here we are with this freaking guy. You know what I mean?
But they can, but they have the opportunity. And what Johnny's saying is they shouldn't. It should be reserved for the people that are doing it day in and day out. That average,
which I get,
20, 230. That is their livelihood. It's not just a league bowler that could fucking average 200. Like you said.
Believe me, I get that. But the fact is,
I'm getting pissed off. God damn it!
The guy. Well, I get pissed. God damn it! The fact is, the guy came in and then won it. Look, if a 200 average bowler comes in and wins the fucking U.S. Open, that's going to be the most groundbreaking thing that we've ever seen. If it's on television and not tape delayed. But
is that what they're hoping for, Johnny? That a guy like what's the fucking Sandler movie? The golf movie.
Happy Gilmore, man.
Happy Gilmore coming in and as an amateur and getting in and winning what? Did he win the U.S. Open or something? I forgot what it was, but
he won the Open Championship, a made up thing. Don't worry about
but
that.
I mean, you know where I'm getting though. Like he was able to get in. He shouldn't have been.
I think that there should be events that amateurs are allowed to compete in, like we talked about earlier.
Here and there.
And hold qualifiers to get a few rabbits into the tournament that have proven their right to be there like they used to.
They don't do qualifiers anymore either?
Not that I know of, man.
I haven't heard rabbits in a while. Like the rabbit squad used to be a thing, like Nebas. You'd bowl the rabbit squad to try to get into the tournament.
There's not a lot of bowlers there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe they are just desperate for. I don't mean desperate. I hate to say that, but maybe that's like you said. They're just. They need the dollar to keep it going.
All you have to do, and I'm telling you to go pre-COVID. The money's okay right now with Fox, but I want you to go look at shows in the last 5 years, 8 years. I want you to look at the size of the crowds, and then I want you to go back to the mid '90s. The early 90s.
Go to the 80s, man. They had suits.
When it wasn't even in its heyday. It was still good, but it wasn't its heyday. Go look at the crowds there. They're building the smallest, tiniest sets as humanly possible because they can't even put people in the stands.
And they're telling them to cheer and clap and be loud and everything.
Yeah.
It's so upsetting.
I've watched it where it's like you go in the 80s and these guys are smoking cigars in the back and there's maybe 400 people, guys in suits and people dressed nice and which the coolest looking thing.
Which is the cool thing. But then like Johnny said with the mid 90s, when they started doing stadium tours on ABC, they're going to Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. Yeah. And they're putting 5,500, 6,000 people in there.
4,300 to 7,000 fans on average in those arena venues.
Yeah.
The thing, the heck was I going to say?
The venues, because that's awesome too, though. You're right. I like the Randy Peterson game.
Like the PDA, they're out of touch with, in my eyes, how to attract more bowlers. Like when I listen to Randy Peterson and Rob Stone and Dave Ryan or whoever's in the booth, if I wasn't a bowler,
you'd know nothing. You'd know nothing.
What on God's green earth they were talking about. I don't care what color the oil is. I don't even know that that's oil. You think me as a spectator is going to watch that bowling show and say, oh, now I want to go be a bowler because I know this guy's tilt. I know this guy's rev rate. I see the path of the ball going down the lane. Like, why don't you tell me how old Chris Vi is, or that this year, over the last 2 years, he's the first bowler in history to make 7 consecutive major appearances? Or why don't you tell me how much money Anthony Simonson's made this year? Or why don't you tell me the life on a week of tour?
There you go. You got it right there. Tell me what they ate. Give me the character of him. Give me. Let me freaking feel this guy. Let me mold.
They used to do. Chris Shankl's be like, oh, Walter Ray has made the finals of the Splitfire Open the last 3 years or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
taking in his shoes because if he doubles in the 10th, it's $100,000. Don't tell me in the 5th frame when Chris Vi is beating Francois by 18 pins that Lavoie has no chance when he's a hit behind. Like
No, because you're right. They got to connect to it. And the other thing is, look,
Johnny doesn't want to say something. I'm like,
this is even better with that Fox tracing thing because they used to talk the same way. And there was none of that tracing thing about hitting the wrong board. Dude, I remember one time I heard your dad on the television and he explained it. I don't want to say dummied down because he just explained what he saw. And I saw him the next week and I was like, dude, by the way, you know me, because, again, I don't talk bowling with you or him or anybody. I said, I understood exactly what you said on the TV last week. And he's like, holy shit, you did? And I was like, yeah, because you explained it in such an easy manner that anybody could have got it. I'm like, God, why are you doing it? He's like, oh, they always ask me to do commentary, but I get fired up. I got to keep my temper down and everything.
And Bo Burton used to be the best at doing that.
Right.
So they guys are talking gibberish when the average fan, like, again, even a league bowler might not be able to follow that.
It's frustrating, dude. I mean, it really is. It's just, everything is, like you said, they're building these small sets. It's a glitz and glamour. There's freaking neon lights everywhere. It's almost like being in Vegas for bowling.
That's what I have thought about, like the X Games. They wanted this X Games freaking mantra, like in the early 00s. And I love the scoreboards and everything, but like, it's like, do what got you there, though. Like, do what you. The coolest thing, like I said, is seeing in the 80s when these guys are wearing, everybody's dressed so nice. And there's freaking 300-400 people, 500 people, and it was on ABC also. But those stadium things, man, there's got to be at least 2 venues, 3 venues. Shit. Think about this, though. They tape delayed a major a few years ago. Like, imagine the Masters in fucking golf being tape delayed by a month.
No.
Sorry, I'm not trying to get you fired up because I know this is one of your passions, but like, dude, I like it. I want it to succeed, man. Like, it's still a fun thing. I know half the guys. I want to root for them.
Right. Exactly.
Like, well, I'm not the dick that wants people to be unsuccessful. I mean, I taught all of them, but we'll get back to that, and we'll be in character for a minute or two. It's all right. I'm getting passionate, damn it. I'll peel back the curtain. God damn it. Anyways.
We all want bowling to succeed, and, I'm hoping that it makes a comeback. It's never dead. I mean, if they lose their TV contract, yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to hurt. But, people that are like us need to keep fighting the good fight. Go out there and promote bowling, try to get it, keep your leagues going. Try to go, recruit people to come bowl. Try to get more numbers and more people involved. And like Johnny said, if you're watching TV nowadays, you're like, God, I don't understand any of that. What's going to make them want to do that? I mean, to them, it's just throwing the ball down. You hit some pins, you have a good time, you drink some beers, whatever. But, if you were to break it down in layman's terms, more people would probably want to get involved. But it's just the sport has evolved. The way they present it has changed. But the basic facts are still there. Bowling,
right? It starts with you wanting to see it starts with you wanting to see the ball hit the pins, right? And then it goes from there. And that's where television.
And people want excitement and intrigue. And if you don't see anybody in the crowd, why do I care about 2 people sitting over in the corner on this big this little Hollywood set, whatever, with neon lights and scoreboards and different colored fucking oil and all this glitzer and glamour, this great presentation, but. Why should I get involved? It's like watching wrestling during COVID when there was no fans there, or watching baseball with no fans there.
They expect to be viewed as a sport, but they don't do anything to make people believe it's a sport.
Yeah.
JP, you told me something years ago, and whether it's for editing out or whatnot, you had mentioned that when they were on ESPN, they had to pay ESPN.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I watch Scrabble on ESPN.
Well, like Vince McMahon gets rights from USA Network to have WWE Raw on there.
No, but these contracts
he gets paid $50 million.
Oh, right.
The PBA were the ones paying ESPN when it should have been the other way around. You should want networks to fight over your programming to get those advertisers in and to get those TV rights and all that money. They had it ass backwards because they had to be on TV. That was the only way they could succeed, was to be on TV.
To add salt to the open wound, Ocho.
Sorry, buddy.
The late great O.J. Olszewski.
Oh, yeah. God rest him.
O.J., Angela, and Kylie go to Manhattan, go to New York for the day. They stop into ESPN Zone. It's a Sunday. The bowling show is on. They're in ESPN Zone. Live bowling is on ESPN.
This is like 2000-ish or something, right? 2001 maybe, something like that? Yep. Tell me it's not on the freaking Zone.
Goes to the bar to order a beer. Says to the bartender, hey, can you put ESPN on one of the televisions? Because there's like 50 behind the bar.
Right.
Bartender goes and puts it on, sees it's bowling, flips it off, says, I'm sorry, we're under strict instruction to not have that playing right now. In ESPN zone in Manhattan.
Oh, my God. What?
And we paid them.
You paid them, and you can't even watch the channel. 50 TVs, you get one TV. Oh, my gosh. So they said, hey, we're just milking these people. We're going to just take them for every. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Bristol, Connecticut can kiss my ass now.
No,
People are going to go and turn on FS1 to hear these guys talk about tilt and revolutions and colored oil.
Right.
Great point, Johnny.
Seriously.
On that note,
you know what? We're that's what we're gonna do. We'll dive into it over the course of this show. Over the course of these next, we got plenty of shows going to come up. It's going to be a wonderful time. The Radical Francois and JP Jr. Maybe we'll figure out a way. What do you think of that? Us minds brainstorming.
Absolutely.
Let's make bowling great again.
Let's do it.
We need a T-shirt. We got to make a shirt out of that. Johnny, I appreciate you being here, buddy. We are definitely going to do more of these shows when time allows. We will get into a myriad of topics, but again, straight talk is really something I love doing, and that's kind of that's really what Ocho and I wanted to do, and our vision for the show when we started is to get the things that you wouldn't normally hear, to hear the stories that most people may not tell, to kind of get the inside. Hey, this is the real shit. We're not going to blow smoke up your ass and try to put on a happy face. These are things that people want to hear.
Rob, we legit even said, imagine what happened in the locker room. Like, we didn't talk with JP earlier, and he mentioned a locker room story between Earl Anthony and Johnny Sr. So this stuff that you're going to get their interviews about when they're on TV and they have to, toe the corporate line, which we get. We're not stupid, but this is what would be fun about this. Pulling back the curtain a bunch, and ironically, the locker room story. So take it away again. This is Bowling Talk Unfiltered. That's pretty much what we want to do. And there may be some things that Johnny may not want to divulge. That he's still Johnny Petraglia Jr. I mean, he is a sexy guy, but he still has a lot of eyes. And there's certain people that may be involved in the sport that may not like the fact that he may be talking about this way. But I'll leave it up to Johnny to decide what he wants to talk about, what he doesn't want to talk about. But either way, this is going to be a different show than any other show that's out there. I'm not saying a teaser, but knowing Johnny for a long time, I don't think there's going to be a lot offline. Not that we're going to start anything, but I just feel like he's pretty much he's just a fun guy. He doesn't shy away from anything, as far as I know him, and I know him fairly well. And you'll get the real him. You're not going to get a corporate anything. He's in a second part of life, and he's doing well. And so we're just recapping and making things better. But yeah, it's not like he's an old timer, he wants to get back in the game, and he, like a wrestler, he wants one more run, brother. You know what I mean? Like I gotta suck up to this guy or that guy because who knows who's listening, and I want one more shot. Johnny's obviously right. We're speaking for you, Johnny, but you are in a different place in your life now, so it's not like you're looking to make it big and get back in the game, and you got to suck off the sponsors. I'm at a place mentally where I've always been opinionated but soft-spoken, and pretty much anybody that knows me knows that I speak from the heart all the time. Yeah, and I'm always aware. I would never, but I like Ocho said, I am an open book. So I am experienced enough in this world that is bowling. And I've experienced it in ways that not a lot of people have had the opportunity to. We were talking earlier about P. Weber and his father being one of the most decorated, classiest, talented professionals to ever step in any limelight. Well, guess who else has one of those? You, buddy. Yeah. So you want to dive into of the life of what it's like and why it was so easy to tell you why I think Pete is as successful as he is and why he is the way he is. We'll have a lot of good conversations, and I'm glad to share them all with you. And that's something we will all enjoy, and that is some of the things we will get into, and as well as we'll have other guests on the show as well. We'll use Johnny Jr. for his massive list of connections and suck him dry and then leave him hanging. But
Ocho.
I'm the one that put this whole thing together, man. Look, I'm the trainer of the stars, is what it is.
Are you really though?
Am I not? Look, come on, my credibility runs freaking Post-it notes long.
I like that. That should be another T-shirt. Johnny, we appreciate you being here. I know you don't probably do that much on social media, but I usually give a minute or so to plug whatever you got going on or anything you want to promote, or just tell people where to find you.
Hey, honestly, guys, these days you can find me in the gym. I'm at LVA. I am a certified trainer, so if anybody wants to get in shape, feel free to hit me up. And as far as a plug, just find me on Facebook, Johnny Petraglia. Picture of me, Dad, and my sister and my mom. Can't miss us.
It's a great picture. I can't wait to talk to your dad at some point. Mr. Dr. Bowler Ocho, where can we find you on social media?
Everywhere and anywhere at Real BG Ocho on the Twitter gimmick. And I'm with this guy, Rad Rob, on Thursdays on whatever his channel is now, because I can't freaking remember it. We do this awful show. And I'm on Bromance every Sunday live on YouTube with Vince Russo, because people just can't get enough of Ocho. And we're going to expand on this show a little more. This is going to be a topic. And what if I needed to get in shape? I don't know. Maybe I think I passed the JP school of personal training, but go to him anyway, because the guy knows his shit.
Ocho was, for those of you listening, because it's an audio podcast, Ocho is flexing his biceps and his pectoral muscles. So just had to point that out for everybody. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Rad Rob Gaming. I'm also a podcast host of a wrestling podcast. They're showing the guns now. RTW Main Event with Ocho drops every Thursday. It is kind of our comedy show, and Sunday is my retro wrestling show, RTW Rewind. Both shows can be found anywhere podcasts are found. Both shows, goddamn, is that like a
Bojo's?
It's like double negative?
It's a speaker too. Bojo's.
Both the shows can be found anywhere podcasts are found. I'm also a Twitch gaming streamer, twitch.tv/RadRobGaming, at RadRobGaming on YouTube. Just check me out there. We hope you enjoyed this first edition of Straight Up 5 with the Ocho and Johnny P. Jr. We'll be back for another episode next time. I'm not sure when. Just
soon, buddy. Soon,
really?
A couple months, 3 months, 8 months,
6 to 8 months. We'll see you next time. Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening to Straight Up 5. If you would like to send your questions into Johnny Jr., send us an email at straightup5@gmail.com. That's straight up FIVE@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.